I'm just gonna get right into this video, no introduction needed. So basically, in October of 2008, Eminem had a launch party for his new autobiography at the time, which was named The Way I Am. Mind you, that Eminem during this period hadn't dropped a studio album since November of 2004 when he dropped Encore. Curtain Call did drop in December of 2005, but that was a compilation album. But anyways, there was speculation of Eminem dropping a new album, and there were a lot of different names going around. Eminem would reveal the real title of his upcoming album, which was to be Relapse. He also played a preview track from the album called I'm Having a Relapse, but it was just a preview and never made the official album. It was like a teaser from my understanding. There wasn't a release date yet, but Tony Yayo would do an interview and reveal the potential lineup of the trifecta of Interscope / Aftermath hip hop releases at that time. He said that 50 Cent could release first, then Eminem, then Dr. Dre, but he also said it could be 50, then Dr. Dre, then Eminem. 50 was set to drop his fourth studio album, Before I Self-Destruct, which ultimately released in November of 2009, and Eminem was set to release Relapse. Dr. Dre was set to release Detox, but man, that's a story for, that is just a mess in itself. But back to the topic, and the problem Eminem had with Relapse before it was released was the delays. There were rumors that it was supposed to come out in December of 2008. There was a posting on Amazon.com that pretty much suggested that Relapse would be in stores just in time for Christmas. Representatives from Interscope shot down the rumors and said that Relapse still had no release date. Then another release rumor came around in March of 2009, which Eminem said himself in an interview that the album was set for May of 2009. In that same interview, Eminem would reveal that he was working on a follow-up to Relapse and wanted to drop Relapse 2 in the same year. He said that he really wanted to drop Relapse in 2008, but then him and Dre went back in the studio in September for a few days, and then that turned into 6 months. They were on such a roll and wound up with a ton of new music. Eminem said that putting out Relapse 2 will let everyone get all of the best stuff. So Relapse would ultimately release in May of 2009 and peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 608,000 copies in its first week. Then in November of 2009, Eminem announced on his website that he was going to drop Relapse Refill and not Relapse 2 in December of that year. The refill was supposed to include the entire Relapse plus 7 songs that didn't make the album. So now with this, Relapse 2 was supposed to come out sometime in 2010, and Eminem would have this to say about it. I want to deliver more material for the fans this year like I originally planned. Hopefully these tracks on the refill will tide the fans over until we put out Relapse 2 next year. I got back in with Dre and then a few more producers including Just Blaze and went in a completely different direction, which made me start from scratch. The new tracks started to sound very different than the tracks I originally intended to be on Relapse 2, but I still want the other stuff to be heard. Unfortunately though, in April of 2010, Eminem would tweet out that there was no Relapse 2. This definitely puzzled fans, especially since it seemed like it was really coming along, and then just a few hours later, Eminem would tweet out what would be his next album at the time, which was Recovery, and he provided a link to his website. Now here's the thing about Relapse 2. People that know Eminem and have done research on him would know that when he is working, he's in the studio for long periods of time. I've heard times ranging from like 12 to 15 hours a day. You heard me earlier say that Eminem and Dr. Dre were in the studio for months recording Relapse. Even when there was that big gap that Eminem didn't release an album, he was still writing music. This is what Mark Hicks, the former manager of D12, had to say about Eminem. Eminem had a career break, but I wouldn't say it was a rest. He's a lover of music and making music, so despite what everyone said, he never stopped working or quit rap. He was in the studio every day. He just didn't want to go on tour or have to do everything that comes with selling an album. There was also rumors that in the past 3 years before Relapse released, that Eminem had over 300 songs in the stash from what he had produced. I did read a hot new hip hop article though, and it said that the game plan for Relapse 2 changed when Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Denon Porter went to Hawaii in the summer of 2009 after Relapse dropped and the reception had begun settling in. Eminem started to work on a new batch of music and didn't take long for the songs created during those Hawaii sessions to spark Eminem's creativity once again, to the point where it felt like the new tracks were way better than what he had originally lined up for the project. Also, something to keep in mind is that in 2018, 50 Cent did an interview with DJ Who Kid and had this to say about the project. He said that when they did Relapse, they were doing 1 and 2. He revealed his favorite music was on 2 and that they collaborated on a few tracks on the second one. He would also say that Eminem didn't like the response that he got from Relapse, so he went to Recovery. And also, I'm pretty sure that I saw something that said that 50 Cent was the one that suggested the idea of having Recovery and Recovery 2. But I was actually originally going to end the video here because I was planning on doing a whole series of videos on canceled/unreleased albums, but I scrapped that idea and just decided to do videos on them one by one. So I decided to do some further digging, and I came across a post on the Eminem subreddit that led me to an article where Paul Rosenberg, who's Eminem's manager, and he was talking about working on Recovery and also the Relapse process. This is what he had to say about going from Dr. Dre as his producer to a variety of different people. The original plan was to have 2 Relapse albums, but when M started working with Dre on sessions for the second record in Hawaii, he turned a corner artistically. And at that point, he wanted to keep moving in that new direction, so it was an evolution. So Bad was one of the songs from those sessions, the only one on the album produced by Dre. By the time Marshall started focusing on making a new album, Dre was already working on his own stuff, so we reached out to Just Blaze first, worked on several tracks with him, and that opened the door to the other producers, Boy Wonder, DJ Khalil. Those 3 are the guts on the record. It was a natural progression, a matter of timing. This is probably the closest I've ever worked creatively with Eminem on a new record, bringing him tracks, throwing him ideas, connecting the dots, helping put the album together. I worked with the A&R guys on Shady, Dart Parker and Riggs Morales, as well as Tracy McNew from management and DJ Mormill at Interscope. It was a real team effort. Prior to this, Marshall had never been open to working with outside producers. So from this, we gathered quite a bit of information. Besides the stuff I already mentioned, we got it confirmed that the song So Bad was one of the songs made from the Hawaii sessions. When Eminem started to focus on making a new album, Dr. Dre ventured off to work on his own stuff, which I'm assuming might be Detox. Dr. Dre ended up with only 1 song on the Recovery album, which is So Bad, if we're not counting the song he produced on the iTunes Store Deluxe Edition, which I'm pretty sure was also made in Hawaii, and that song is Riders. Dr. Dre, however, is credited for producing 5 out of the 7 songs for Relapse Refill, like I said, which dropped in December of 2009. But I do want to mention that there's another track that was made in those Hawaii sessions that ended up on Recovery, and another one is On Fire, which was produced by Mr. Porter. The last track that I can confirm that was made from the Hawaii sessions was Eminem's track, The Warning, which was a diss towards Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon in response to her track called Obsessed. The Warning was also produced by Dr. Dre. So we have 4 songs that were made during the Hawaii sessions and have been properly released, which are The Warning, So Bad, On Fire, and Riders. Those are the confirmed ones from the Hawaii sessions, but amongst Eminem fans, there was some debate whether some songs on Relapse Refill were made from those sessions. Those songs are basically every song on Relapse Refill besides Forever and Taking My Ball. I'll put the link in the description to the subreddit post where somebody breaks this all down way better than I can, especially since I'm not very familiar with Eminem's music from this time period. They break down how the songs from the Hawaii sessions have a distinct sound to them which differentiates them from the regular Relapse songs. Once again, link in the description if you want to know more about that. Also, something else to note is that D12 was supposed to be on Relapse 2, just wanted to put that out there. But as we can see, there was 2 different versions of Relapse 2 before Hawaii and post Hawaii. It's just really unfortunate, but Relapse 2 definitely existed at one point, but Relapse 2 will probably never be heard officially by Eminem fans. For more videos like this, definitely like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Comment down below some other unreleased / cancel albums I should talk about. I don't really have anything more else to say besides peace and love, people. I'm out.